Road.
Okay, where at? House fire?
Hi.
Tampa Fire Rescue, what is the address?
Oh my God, miss, I need help. Ma'am, I need help.
I need an address.
Ma'am,
What's the problem?
it's a fire in the kitchen. I can't get out.
What?
Ma'am,
What's going on?
it's a fire in the kitchen. I can't. It's filling the house up with smoke.
Fire can go from first flame to flashover in as little as 3 minutes.
When you go into a house that's on fire, you don't see anything at all. It's completely black.
Tonight, a warning that could change the way you think about fire safety in your home.
You might not have as much time to escape from a fire as you think.
Home fire can quickly become a devastating tragedy. Last week's deadly fire in New York City is a heart-wrenching reminder of just how important it is to have an escape plan.
As plastics burn off 3 and 4 times faster than wood does, it's really shortening our escape time.
Hollywood tends to portray fire as something that you can get next to, doesn't make a whole lot of smoke, you got time to look for this, get your favorite thing out, do that, and then get out. And that's simply not true in the real world.
That's a fully involved, smoke-filled room. When firefighters get into that kind of thing, they're always in masks. Without them, within the first 2 or 3 breaths, they'd be immobile.
When it changes from a smoldering state to a flaming state, you have a matter of seconds.
The Chicago Fire Department, working with the world's leading fire safety experts at Underwriters Laboratories, conducted a study to show just how dangerous a modern house fire can be.
The material, the plastics, burn so quick. Rooms flash over. We're talking degrees of about 1,500 degrees.
UL's smoke characterization study showed that in a living room with synthetic furniture, a small fire on a sofa can fill a room with toxic gases in less than 2 minutes and can quickly flash over, spreading flames throughout the home, potentially trapping anyone inside.
The escape time for the average consumer is much less. 20 or 30 years ago, you had about 17 minutes after your smoke alarm went off, on average. Today, that 17 minutes has dropped to 3 or 4 minutes.
Well, maybe you're under the impression that all smoke alarms are the same.
I guess it's something we take for granted. That's what I'd been thinking all along, but I don't think that's exactly right.
Firefighters say this all could have been avoided. The house did not have working smoke alarms.
If your house catches fire, you trust that a smoke alarm is going to wake you up.
There was no alarms going off in any of those other buildings. Nobody knew there was a fire going on, so he kind of was banging on doors.
Doug Turnbull believes he paid the ultimate price. He lost his daughter Julie, a senior at Miami University of Ohio, in a house fire in 2005. 11 students were sleeping when a smoldering fire broke out. 8 survived.
There were 17 ionization smoke detectors in the house, so it's not like the landlord didn't care about fire safety, but he just had no idea that there was a difference.
For those Americans who perhaps took a moment this past Christmas Day to catch up with what was going on in the world, they no doubt saw this story on that day. A Christmas morning house fire. It happened in Connecticut. It had taken the lives of one woman's entire family, her 3 little girls and her parents. Tonight we meet her and we hear her story. Madonna Badger agreed to sit down with Matt Lauer and talk about the Christmas tragedy that remains so achingly sad.
We used to call my dad Mr. Safety Man. He changed the batteries in my fire alarms, every year for me.
This house was no exception, as this photo shows Badger placed fire extinguishers in the halls and battery-operated smoke detectors in the rooms, which Badger says had been tested.
I woke up and I was choking, and I realized there was a fire.
Did you hear smoke detectors? Did you hear
No.
smoke alarms?
No.
Anything going off in that house?
Nothing. It was silent. It was the scariest silence.
So you got out through the window.
I got out through the window. I ran to the edge of my house. So I scrambled up the scaffolding to get to Grace's window. And I opened that window
and the smoke that hit me, it was just the blackest, like an ocean. It was twirling, and there was embers and all kinds of stuff in it. And I kept trying to hold my breath and put my head in. And I did that like 3 or 4 times, and I couldn't get in. I couldn't get in the window.
This video from a neighbor's cell phone captures the intensity of the fire and the impossible task facing Madonna Badger.
I want to know why didn't the fire alarms go off? The hardwired alarms had batteries in them. Why didn't those go off?
Back now at 7:44 this morning on Rosslyn reports startling claims that the most popular kind of smoke detector may not protect your family in a fire. Today, national investigative correspondent Jeff Rosslyn is here with the details. Jeff, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. This really does affect all of us. And look, we've all been there. You burn toast in your house and suddenly your smoke alarm goes off. So you assume it's ultra sensitive, but experts say think again. Turns out smoke from burning food is much different than smoke from burning furniture. In fact, we found in a real fire, your smoke detector may not go off in time to save your family.
911. I have a fire in my home. I've got the baby I've got to crawl with.
A desperate mother waking up to a house full of smoke, trying to save her kids.
As I'm trying to get upstairs, my first thought is the 4 people that I have upstairs. Trying to make sure that they're not scared to death, that they're safe, and that they're okay.
The kids didn't make it. Cause of death? Smoke inhalation. So why didn't they have more warning? After all, Amanda Deputy says the house had working smoke detectors.
We put fresh batteries in the smoke detectors. We pushed the test button, so I knew they worked. And then when it was time, they never went off.
Amanda says she had the most common type of smoke detector, used in 90% of homes. Inexpensive, easy to find alarms that rely on ionization technology. They work well to detect fires with fast flames. But experts say some of the most deadly fires are the smoldering, smoky kind that can fill your home with toxic gases while you sleep. Experts say in those fires, ionization alarms don't work well, going off way too late or not at all.
And that means that the individuals could have a fire in their home and never receive a warning.
Don Russell is a scientist at Texas A&M. He's run hundreds of tests. When I go to the store to buy a smoke detector, I assume that it's going to sound when there's smoke.
That's a reasonable assumption, but it's wrong.
His findings are a bombshell in the industry, that the most popular smoke detectors may not help you in a fire. You're about to see just how scary that can be. We had Dr. Russell set up a test at the Texas A&M Engineering Extension Service. First, Dr. Russell placed 3 ionization detectors, the kind most of us have, in a room with a couch. Next, firefighters set a slow, smoky fire using a soldering iron. We're watching on monitors outside. Firefighters say every minute counts to get your family out. But watch, the room is filling up with smoke, and the smoke detectors still haven't gone off. It's been 30 minutes.
The smoke is all the way to where the smoke detectors are, and we still don't have any alert from the smoke detectors.
Finally, at 36 minutes.
We do have a smoke detector going off.
Minutes later, the other 2 go off, just as the couch is about to erupt in flames.
It's way too late. It's too dangerous. You couldn't get out of that room reliably.
Remember, this is the type of smoke detector most of us have.
The state fire marshal says that there's no time to waste in addressing what he calls an emergency affecting millions of families and millions of smoke detectors.
We have to sound our alarms now because the problem is throughout Indiana, throughout the nation, people have this false sense of security right now with smoke detectors. I don't mean to scare people, but I think we have probably 5 million smoke detectors in this state that are ionization smoke detectors that may fail.
If I could say one thing and stress one issue, and that is when you're looking at detectors as a life safety device, you have to have the very best that you can put in place.
New technology with the military spec hardware and those kinds of things, definitely something every family ought to look at.